Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. This should be a fun one here. Today we have Speed, who kind of had a breakout season in SSL, looking fantastic recently, currently #1 on the ladder. And he's going to be going up against Rich, who is currently #2 on the ladder. These two are probably the most active players that are really out there. Speed has been grinding nonstop. Rich as well. Rich has the most accounts of anyone ever by far. It's actually insane. I don't really know. I'm not exaggerating or making a joke. It's actually crazy how many accounts he has. It doesn't make sense. It's definitely not efficient practice. But anyways, he's in very, very good shape. Several days ago from when this is posted, we had a Terran vs. Protoss with Rich against JYJ, and if you haven't checked that one out, I would do so, because I felt like that was an excellent game to learn from, and an entertaining game regardless, but an excellent, excellent game to learn from. And I'm actually still thinking about it right now. To mention, if you don't recall it, basically, JYJ actually got like the fastest third base ever in relation to Rich, but sacrificed factory count to do that and was never able to even come close to putting on significant pressure against Rich. And Rich played an awesome, beautiful game from there, and he just kind of ended up winning pretty one-sidedly, I would say, despite the opening looking pretty good for JYJ. So looking at that, when I saw that these two played, I'm like, well, you know who is going to put pressure on Rich? It's going to be Speed. Speed is top 3 aggressive Terran. In fact, I'd put him top 2 in this matchup for pro gamers. We liken him to Sharp a lot. I think he's slightly more aggressive than Sharp. But I would actually put Ample down as probably the most aggressive Terran. Ample doesn't make it into every season of ASL or SSL, but he's in it enough. You know, he's been around a long time, and he has a lot of very aggressive plays. But yeah, he's one of the most aggressive Terrans out there. I definitely have a lot of games of his on the channel. If you're interested in Terran aggression against Protoss, type in Ample when you're searching through ArtosisCasts, and you'll definitely find quite a few of them. Okay. We're on Dominator here. And, you know, Dominator being the 3-player map, really enjoying this map. I think you can have really aggressive, fast-paced games, and you can actually have, like, big macro games here, but there's a little bit more action than, like, a 4-player map. It's actually, like, he just barely misses that. He actually should have started walking forward as soon as the pro was hitting him. But, yeah, I'm loving this map. I think this map is giving us like an insane amount of really fun games, really interesting, different games as well. Now, this is the expansion before range. Let's see, does he have it? Nope, he's going to go ahead and expand himself. So already we have some differences. When JYJ saw that, he made a 3rd depot, and he went into a Marine Vulture SCV pressure and didn't end up killing Nexus, but actually got himself into a good position. Here, Speed is playing a little bit more like Flashwood in this situation, which is to get the bunker up. Now, to be fair, Flashwood sacrifices SCV to make the command center before the bunker. That's at 100% he would have done exactly that. Yeah, so not too surprised. One of Speed's many AKAs is 10-min Flash. From years ago, he hasn't really used that in a while. But it's kind of like pointing towards the fact that he can play like Flash for 10 minutes, but not through the rest of the game. It's kind of a funny idea. But yeah, kind of a Flash-esque choice. Now, Siege Tank and Mines on the way. Not a big surprise there. You're not going to be able to just get a Vulture out because you have sacrificed... basically, if you go Vulture Expand, which is 3 Marines and a Vulture, you get the Vulture out, and then you make the bunker after the command center. And there's a Vulture out, so the Dragoons don't want to sit here, so more Vultures can come out. Because if they do sit here, you lay mines behind, then you push them back with a tank, and they run into mines, and you lose all your goons. Here, because he... Oops, sorry. Here, because he skipped going for the early Vulture and instead got the add-on, he has to go tank to push the goons back first, and then he can get some Vultures out. Does look like Speed wants to go for a second factory here. There it is. Looking back at Rich's base, he actually goes 2 gate range into the Robo. And I very much like this. Recently casted a game of Rain doing this. And if you think you're going to get attacked, adding the gateways first is better than adding the Robo. And I've had some pushback from some Protoss players, but it's like, no, the mines can be very, very slow here. And you can see how he's kind of zoning this. He's got 2 here, so there's no run by, 3 up here. He sees mines being laid, he pushes it back. Now here comes this. He is going to have to bring these units back. Hopefully he remembers that there's a mine there and doesn't walk through it. You know, there is some precision that you need. Now, this is great from Speed laying these mines because and he walks right into the mine on the way back that he had avoided on the way up. So maybe a little bit of panicking here. And you can see that Speed is actually getting some insane damage so far. This little 2-factory push is doing fantastically. Ooh, gets some probes there as well. Oh my god. Not looking very good right now. Sacrifices a vulture for another probe. Definitely a good call there. 2 goons walking way around. I think he's just looking to catch the tank. 2 goons easily slaughter a tank. So it looks like, yeah, you should be able to get that. But we might see Speed try to pull back into the mines. I don't think he has time now. It's a little bit late on that movement. All right. So that pressure is all done. And surprisingly, we look almost exactly like we looked in an earlier part of like the JYJ game, right? When his pressure was done, their probes were right around 35 each. But here you can see it's a very different situation, okay? Because part of the reason I'm watching this and casting this is because of that JYJ game, because I want to kind of... It's kind of like a story in 2 parts, several days apart. So look at this, right? He did the 2-factory pressure. Armory. He's got some units. Look at this. He's got vultures out rotating already. He's got siege mode almost done. By the way, JYJ's 3rd command center that he made against Rich was done right now. That's when it finished. Not started yet. So very, very different positions. But that's where it gets very fun and interesting, in my opinion, is looking at these different positions and what they provide. So here's the 3rd base, and this is right around the time that Rich started against the pressure from JYJ as well. But we're in a very different position here for Speed. So he comes up, he sees it, he actually runs through with his Speed Vultures. He's getting decent intel. He's got some mines at some of these bases that Rich might be thinking about taking, and that's going to get cleared too. He knows that there's you know, the observer out on the map. He's already got his siege upgrade, and in fact, going for... That's a very quick Goliath range. Very, very quick. It looks to me like he doesn't want to overmake turrets in this early game. I think he's going to do a more mobile defense. And look at this. Sends an SCV up towards his 3rd base location. Now, obviously he doesn't have the money for this quite yet. He is going to try to throw that down pretty quickly. Academy coming up after the factories, or actually right before that factory, but after these 2. So 4 factory, Academy, 5th factory. Probably throw down a couple more turrets too. Has some decent mines laying around his base. Rich, in the meantime, over here, going into his Reaver with that speed upgrade. Very good spread. You can see a lot more vision here, but again, you know, JYJ was done that base a lot earlier. Here we have a turret going up, but still just the 5 factories. He's getting the ComSat scanners for some good scouting. Has some reasonable defense in the main base. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. There's no clear line to get back into this area. Yeah, probably where... No, there's like little edges where I think he can fly in. This turret is almost a random turret that actually... Look how much damage that does. Rich really wasn't expecting a turret to be here right now. Maybe the command center? Like, that wouldn't surprise you to see a command center building right now necessarily. But for the turret to be there, that's a bit more surprising. So he takes a lot of damage on that. He's going to be more careful with that shuttle now. Really, it's worth the cost of the shuttle or the turret to... get some hull damage on this shuttle right now and take those shields away. Just going to make it a lot harder to get any harassment done. So speed. Adding more turrets. Look, 2 more turrets. No 3rd command center. No third command center. Okay, it looks like he's finally going to take the third command center. This is some pretty heavy turret play for not having a command center as of yet. Trap set SCV, by the way. That's always annoying. But that's kind of surprising. One thing to note is that you can see these top bases all have vultures and or mines at them, and he keeps rotating around, making sure about those bases. So some good harass here as well. Has a couple mines in this area where that third might be taken. But he picks off a few probes, and that's good. Templar Archives here for Rich, getting his Zealot legs as well. Still just the 5 factories. Okay, so this is kind of a funny-looking move. He just sacrificed a shuttle in here. This was just to kill the turret, and that's all it is going to kill. But there's a Goliath in here, so you can't really just fly in for free. That was kind of a weird-looking, kind of wasteful-looking thing. By the way, 10-worker advantage right now for Rich. But he doesn't have his 4th. His 4th base is not that far along. So looking at the position, like, I don't mind this position at all for speed. I think it's totally fine when you've slowed the 4th base this much. Definitely he's done a very good job of that. He's done a little bit of harassment as well. His worker count is down a little bit lower, but that's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world for him. Rich right now just trying to slow this base a bit, but with that Goliath range, there's not a whole lot you can do. If they're trying to turret push up or something like that, you can definitely have a little bit more leeway for microing back. But right now, Rich macroing heavily here off of his 8 gateways and 1 robotics, getting that supply up pretty darn high. But as long as Speed is in a pretty fairly good sieged position, you can't really attack into him. Speed is like, basically for supply numbers, Speed is pretty invincible right now. Of course, the same can be said for Rich. There's just no way to attack into an army like this at 128 supply. One thing that I am finding just a little bit surprising is I feel like Speed should already be adding more factories, and he is absolutely not. Like, he's kind of focusing right now. Like, his production is very good, but he's focusing on getting those upgrades really, really quickly. And of course, that can pay off. If you can get away with getting the upgrades more quickly, that is always going to be amazing. That is always going to be good. But it's like, okay, is that going to set you behind because you don't have a big enough army? Because now we have this 4th base up in mining. We have 10 gateways here for Rich. And he's going to be taking a 5th base. So, we have to start asking those questions like, what is the plan here for him Speed? But right now, Rich diving in with the double speed shuttle. Looks like that should dud. Yeah, that one ends up dudding. Flying in through the back of the natural here. Going to drop a couple Reavers off. Those 2 armories not spinning right now, so only 1/1 upgrades. And he is adding 3 more factories, by the way. So that's something I absolutely wanted to see here. Reavers being dropped out behind. Some pretty good micro. He's just buying a little bit of time right now. Honestly, the one thing I'd really like to see from Rich while he's doing this is setting up a 5th base. I feel like this is... Like, Rich is number 2 on the ladder right now. I expect him to be in SSL in the next year or so. I expect him to end up qualifying. He's been doing really well. Everyone knows who he is and has for a long time. He's practicing his ass off. He's basically the Protoss equivalent of Speed, is, I guess, the right way to put it. Right? Like, everyone knows that Speed plays so many games, and he's kind of aggressive, and he's grinding like crazy on the ladder. And here he is. Suddenly, he's looking like one of the best Terrans in the world. Rich is doing that with Protoss and has been for a while now, just like Speed has been doing with Terran. So, I want to say that I feel like this is one area I could see Rich maybe improving it. Okay, there is the Nexus. There is the 5th. And the thing is, like, there is a world in which you can get this set up while you're doing the Reaver harassment, and that's going to be slightly better, but this is great. The 5th base, very, very important. The dropship coming into the main base here with double Vulture and a Siege Tank. Looks like he has more than enough to stomp this out, so that's good at least. Yeah, no real damage going to be dealt here. Yeah, maybe one. Oh, that was a handsome little siege. He sieged the tank here real quick, brought the dropship over to get the vision of the probes and clicked on them. So he got 3 probes with that. Maybe 1 or 2 over here. 60 to 62. It's all pretty close. And now Speed getting ready for that 4th base. He's got 164 supply against the 177. So what I was saying about the factory ad timings, it seems like that's been okay for him. This is a very high supply. If you're keeping your supply that close to Protoss, really that's all you need. If you can get your upgrades slightly quicker and keep your supply closer, then that's good. That's good. That's good game theory right there. Now, Rich coming forward, he has Psystorm. He has some Templars in here. A lot of upgrades still on the way for him. Observer speed. He's getting his 2-1 upgrades for his ground units. Kadarin Amulet so he can do more Psystorms. And, taking quite a bit of damage there. Has to be careful. And going to hit some good Psystorms. He's definitely going to be able to force a cancel on this command center without a doubt. If I know anything about Rich, he will, no matter how this fight goes, right-click on this command center. Right, Rich? What's going on, Rich? Heard something. Okay, he comes back and fights once again. Psystorm down on those tanks. Again, I'm super surprised he hasn't just kind of right-clicked on this. I feel like I've seen enough Rich games that I'm used to seeing him eke out something like that. And I think he did have the opportunity to trade like 2 goons for killing the command center, which 100% of the time will be the right decision. So I feel like that was maybe a little bit of a miss. Starting to bank up quite a bit. Doesn't have a lot of probes over here. Another base being taken here by Speed. Oh, man. You can actually really see how good Speed is right now. There's not a ton happening in the game, but he's defending this reasonably well. His upgrades are still coming. And the fact that he's getting his 4th up, but he recognizes that he can easily expand there is awesome to see. So a very, very good spread of tanks. Definitely wants to get some repairs down. That is Psystorm's dream there with that group of 4 tanks. And with this 5th base going up, like, it looks like Speed is getting ready to run away with the game. Rich is going to have to make something happen because he's just now getting probes up into this 5th base. Some might be gotten caught off guard here by these vultures. Yeah, and this is really good play. When you get a mineral base like this especially, and you have a very good factory count, it's really smart to start trading some of these vultures out. Just running them in, right-clicking on all these. Now, here comes another attack in. This is a hard base to defend against Storm. As you can see, Storms coming down here get a lot of kills generally. But the spread of siege tanks is very, very good. It's really punishing Rich's army each time he comes down. No probes at this base. Feels like things are starting to fall apart for him. And you can see such a difference, if I could once again call back to the JYJ game. Just the extra activity that we saw from Speed. I feel like that is what the big difference has been. There has been a bit more activity. He's been a little bit more active. Both of them did 1 drop of a siege tank and 2 vultures. Neither of those drops did particularly well, but we've seen a lot of Speed vultures going around. Just the fact that he made so many factories so quickly slowed the additional bases of his opponent. That's a big thing to consider. When Protoss sees you adding a bunch of factories, they have to add some production so they don't die. Same the other way, right? If you're adding a ton of gateways, Terran has to add some factories to make sure that they're making enough units to actually stay alive. You have to keep within a tolerable range of your opponent's production. Now, Speed starts to rotate up here, right? This is the part where the map is still pretty open. No one has a stranglehold on map control right now. And the spread of Speed's bases could be a problem. These 2 missile turrets, turns out, not as good at defending as 4 cannons and a gateway making Dark Templars. Looks like here's Speed trying to rotate to that other main base. Gonna get up here and be able to cancel out a bunch of these cannons. Very, very good move there from Speed. Yeah, gonna be able to get the probe. And this is just kind of annoying to Rich to deal with. Actually, a big army coming up here. He might be looking to get an engagement on a part of his opponent's army. There's also like a situation where you might be able to go up and do a little containment on all those trapped units, but I don't know about that. Now, this is a good moment, I feel like, for Rich. That EMP was unbelievable, by the way. He just nailed that High Templar as it came out. But this is a good moment for Rich. He has all these speed zealots that came up. He cleared a lot of the siege tanks with those zealots. And that's exactly the type of engagement you're looking for, but still enough left over by speed. Dragoons coming out now. I believe that this army will just get cleared from here. Ooh, storms his own zealots a little bit, so he will back up as that zealot count gets very, very low. Sieging and killing some of these dragoons as well. Yeah, just a little bit of a vulture rotating going around now also. We see nothing really happening down at the 6 o'clock base. The fact that he's been able to just keep this up, even if you're trading like we saw up here where this is a little bit cost inefficient, if he's on 4 bases, that matters a lot more. When you have an extra base like this, 5 bases for Terran is like another word for infinity. Like Terran is very rarely getting 5 bases. It just, in most games, just resolve themselves before then, and the 5th base is almost always really far away, so it becomes like a very strange game. But if you have 5 bases this early, you can actually aggressively trade and just utilize tempo at that point, and we definitely saw a little bit of that up here. Now, we have a counterattack coming from Rich into this mineral-only base once again. He's definitely taken a lot of engagements here that did not end up working out. Comes in on top of some of these siege tanks. And yeah, the rest of the tanks coming down. Like, if you don't have Psystorm, you're not going to be able to deal with something like this. You absolutely must have that splash damage. The SCV count not super, super high right now, but still doing just fine. The fact that this has turned into such a, like, kind of tempo-oriented game for Terran, you can see Rich is mining out. Look at this. Main gone, natural gone. 3rd base getting low. 4th base, okay-ish, but still kind of low. 5th base, pretty fresh. He's getting he has another Nexus, but hasn't been able to really get anything up there. Little bit of DT harassment walking in. Not that much damage, though. Here we go. Another attack onto this mineral-only base. No splash damage nearby. 5 High Templars walking up ever so slowly. He's going to lose most of his army before they get there, unfortunately. Might have been good to have those in a shuttle, or maybe just wait for them regardless. He's brought that SCV count a little bit lower, but none of this seems to be a big enough deal for Rich. It feels like this is just cleanup time now for Speed. Speed having this base up that whole time. Yeah, he lost quite a few SCVs now. He's going to have to maybe send some more up. He's trying to remake this command as well. But killing this base off is almost the final nail in Rich's coffin, truly. Rich having a hard time fielding a real-sized army at this point. Look at that. She'll better love that. What a line of tanks. So, yeah, this really feels to me like we are just on cleanup duty. It's all but one for Speed at this point. A very, very differently played game than what we saw from JYJ. JYJ's game being kind of more old meta, and you can definitely see some of the power. Ooh, that was a pretty good mine. Some of the power inherent in the new meta game that we've had a lot of Terrans playing within. This is going to be Rich's final attack. There's nothing left after this. I guess if he clears this, kills this command center, if he had that up, I'd give him some sort of chance, but realistically, no. Multiple defense matrix coming up. Love the heavy science vessel usage as well. Rich trying to micro back, but we can see why Speed is #1 on the ladder and Rich is only #2. GG is called. And that'll be it. Speed will take that down. I do want to just jump back and go over a couple points here. Okay, so he had this initial pressure, which did really well. I think that the 2 gate opener was good, but he chased the 1 vulture up this way too far. And then when he walked back through the mines, it allowed a little bit more damage from this 2 factory pressure than should have occurred. if he has, instead of trying to be fancy and stop the vulture that's laying mines up here and chasing it, here, I should just jump back to when that was. Okay, see this? Okay, you see this? And he misses some shots here. There's a mine here. And watch this. He walks to the side. Do you know why he walks to the side there? He sees the micro. He knows that there's probably a mine here. The way that he was flick-shotting right here, he's like, chase me, follow me, follow me. So he knew, and then this comes up, and he walks back through the mine. He probably just, like, uses a control group and clicks it back. He's like, all right, attack, move down here. But he runs into this mine here. Okay? Now, if I could, because I think that this is really underutilized from Protoss. So many Protoss go gate, robo, gate. But gate, gate, robo, if you use it correctly, is invincible against things like this. And instead, he takes some damage here. So this is like an opening theory thing that I think could be utilized by more Protoss. So I'm just jumping back here, right? This is as the Vulture's about to come down. Here comes the push. Of course, he doesn't see any of this. But this position, it doesn't matter what's going on over here. This can hold it. Just mathematically, if you know they went command center, and you already saw a siege tank at the bunker, those are both things he already knows, right? If you don't see a siege tank at the bunker, okay, maybe it could be Marine Medic, all right? Maybe. Not likely, but maybe. So, knowing what he already knows, this can hold everything that can come right now, especially with more goons. Well, he hasn't actually started more goons. Looks like he did he get supply blocked? I don't even know why he didn't start more goons. That's weird. So he has more than enough money. Okay, anyways, regardless, 4 goons would hold this. Again, easily. He's on high ground. So look. This is an area where if Rich fixes stuff like this, because I talked about this more in the JYJ game that I casted a few days ago, where Rich will take the harsher approach, right? Like instead of 2 gate obs, he'll go 3 gate obs. That type of thing, where he will have more power to punish you, but his build might not be as flexible. This is one of those situations. The 2 gate into robo is one of these situations. So if you go 1 gate obs, 2nd gate, you'll have like kind of a wall here, and as this comes, you'll pull back behind the wall, and maybe you lose a pylon or 2, and then you fight back, and everything's fine. Here, if he has the 3 goons there, this can literally never come up. Maybe he has a mine here, and that's the difference. Maybe there's a mine here and here and here. You know, stuff like that. But, like, not a big deal. He's up 4 workers, and so here, Speed gets up a little bit as well. So just a little bit of thoughts about opening theory here. Because the thing is, everyone can improve a lot, like, by working on really basic fundamental stuff. And this is like some opening theory stuff that I think could do really well for Rich. Don't move those goons up there where you're over chasing. He catches the tank, so that's nice, right? You get some value back out of it. So I'm not going to say this is a complete wash as far as the defense, but I do feel like this could have been much better. Okay, anyways, there's so much that I could go over on this game, really. Maybe I'll go over just a little bit more, because it piques my interest, very much so. So this is more of the standard metagame here of, like, the 2 factory, he put on some pressure, armory, okay, some missile turrets, add the factories, add the academy. I have found that adding the factories before the academy, while it gives you more aggressive potential, it does weaken you against really stupid things, like if they just start making carriers, you get really slow there. Because your comsat normally doesn't come up until you have a command center going, but that's beside the point. That's like a very out there thing that, who knows, maybe we'll see that evolve. But right now, if we take this vision away, okay, it's like just units being made. This flew over there. You saw no 3rd command center started. All these different things. And what this does... I'll just watch the game completely blind. What this can do is it slows Protoss because they have to prepare for an attack. Not for them to attack you, but for you to attack them. So what's the correct thing to do if your opponent's going to 5 or 6 factor you? We talk about this very oftentimes, right? If you go Reaver on 3 base and you get 6 to 8 gates and you go legs, you're going to crush the attack. So he's forced this. Look at this. 8 gate. Legs are on the way. And he has a Reaver. So Rich did all these things. And then you add the 3rd base. Very well done by Speed. And this slows Rich a lot. Rich goes into slow 4th. Slower 5th. And that's how Speed kind of takes control of this game. It's very, very, very different. It's incredible how different the Terran vs. Protoss metagame is right now from 6-7 years ago. Because if you guys, I'm sure that many of you recall, anyone who's watching back then, upgrade Terran was the thing forever. That's what we saw JYJ trying to do against Rich. Here's the more active approach that Speed is taking. And you can just see the absolute difference in preventing Protoss from being super greedy all the time and getting ahead in that way. Anyways, I find this stuff endlessly fascinating, but I hope that you found some small enjoyment in it. Thank you for watching, guys. As always, please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, all that stuff. We'll see you next time.